Welcome back to Numis World. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and follow us right now to join the ultimate coin hunting community. Today, we have a StateQuarters showdown. We are pitting the rugged 2007 Wyoming bucking horse against the beautiful 2008 New Mexico Zia symbol. A true West Coast battle. We're diving into the history and details. Which state takes the crown? Comment your winner below. Did you know that the small, unassuming silhouette of a bucking horse and rider stamped onto this 25-cent piece was once at the very center of a fierce legal battle between two U.S. states? This iconic symbol, known as the bucking horse and rider, or steamboat, believed to be modeled after a legendary and unrideable wild horse, is far more than just a piece of art. It is a fiercely protected mark of state identity. While today it proudly represents Wyoming, it was actually the focus of a significant trademark conflict with South Dakota, demonstrating that a simple image on a coin can embody decades of history, identity, and controversy that almost came to a complete legal war. When you look at this coin, your eyes are immediately drawn to the official inscriptions and the main image, but the standard narratives about its creation are surprisingly incomplete. The prevailing history will point you to Norman E. Namath, the official USMint sculptor engraver who physically carved the final die, leaving his tiny initials, NM, just above the tail of the bucking horse. But this attribution is a shallow representation of the coin's true soul. The design is not a new creation. It is the culmination of a century-long, multi-layered process defined by a hidden connection. While it features the iconic bucking horse and rider, a symbol that can be traced back to 1930s license plates and the image of the unrideable wild horse steamboat, which also required a complex selection by the state governor's coin commission, including final approval by Governor Dave Freudenthal in 2006 from hundreds of statewide design submissions. The most crucial, yet often overlooked, link is the woman who redefined the very purpose of this quarter. You see, this coin doesn't just feature a state's logo. It is the official representation of the Wyoming State Quarter, which is inscribed with the powerful motto, the Equality State. This is the true hidden connection. The man usually credited, the designer, only realized a pre-existing state identity. The figure actually responsible for the coin's message, the entire point of its existence, is Esther Hobart Morris. Though her face isn't on the silver surface alongside Washington, she is the woman who effectively designed its historical significance. As the pivotal figure in the 1869 effort that led to the Wyoming Territorial Legislature passing the first law in the entire world granting women equal suffrage, she created the Equality State legacy that the coin is dedicated to honoring. Her connection to this quarter is fundamental, yet her absence from its literal surface, while its meaning is derived solely from her legacy, is a profound historical oversight we must expose. To truly appreciate the craftsmanship of this coin, you have to look closer than the naked eye usually allows, specifically at the tiny, almost microscopic details tucked away near the horse's tail. There, you will find the letters NEM, the silent signature of Norman E. Namath, the master sculptor engraver at the United States Mint who was entrusted with bringing this piece of history to life. Namath didn't just draw this. He meticulously sculpted a three-dimensional model, ensuring that every muscle of the bucking horse, the grip of the rider, and the texture of the steamboat legend felt alive under your thumb. This isn't just an engraving, it's a technical masterpiece of depth and perspective. Because the Wyoming design was so iconic and beloved by its citizens, Namath faced the immense pressure of translating a 100-year-old state symbol into a modern, metallic relief that could withstand the high-speed striking of the minting presses. Every line on the rider's hat and every curve of the horse's mane had to be perfectly balanced so that the light hits it just right, creating that mirror-like shimmer you see on uncirculated versions. When you hold this quarter, you aren't just holding currency, you are holding a miniature canvas signed by a master artist who successfully merged the grit of the Wild West with the precision of modern American numismatics. While many believe this design was created specifically for the 2007 quarter, the true connection dates back to the early 1900s, centered around a legendary horse named Steamboat, the horse that couldn't be ridden. This bucking horse and rider symbol became so synonymous with Wyoming's identity that the state officially trademarked it in 1936, making it the first time a U.S. state ever trademarked a symbol. However, this sparked one of the most unusual legal wars in American history. The neighboring state of South Dakota challenged Wyoming's exclusive rights, leading to a decade-long trademark war. The tension reached a boiling point in the 1990s when both states fought over whose heritage the silhouette truly represented. Wyoming's Secretary of State at the time, Kathy Carpan, famously defended the mark with ironclad resolve, eventually securing a settlement that solidified Wyoming's ownership. This coin, therefore, is not just pocket change. It is a victory trophy from a legal battlefield, representing a century of pride, a legendary stallion spirit, and a hard-won territorial legacy that two states literally fought over in court. Behind the powerful silhouette on this coin lies the spirit of a real living legend, a jet-black stallion named Steamboat. Born on the Foss Ranch in 1894, he wasn't just any horse. He was widely considered the meanest and most unrideable bronco in the West. But the most fascinating detail, the one that gave him his iconic name, stems from a tragic accident during his youth. While being branded, the young colt broke his nose, which resulted in a permanent whistling sound every time he exhaled. This rhythmic, puffing noise was so distinct and powerful that it reminded everyone of an old-fashioned riverboat chugging through water, earning him the name Steamboat. For 15 years, he threw off the world's greatest cowboys at the Cheyenne Frontier Days, and when you look at this coin, you aren't just seeing a generic design. You are seeing a tribute to a horse whose very breath sounded like the machinery of a new era, capturing the raw, untamable soul of Wyoming. While the identity of the horse is a settled legend, the man on its back remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in Western history, creating a debate that still divides historians today. For decades, many have pointed to the legendary cowboy Stub Farlow, known as the Pride of the West, whose rugged charm and grit supposedly inspired the original sketch. However, a rival claim insists the rider is actually Guy Holt, a fearless bronc buster who was famously photographed riding Steamboat at the 1903 Frontier Days. This ambiguity isn't just a historical footnote, it's a living puzzle. Because the silhouette on this quarter is intentionally faceless, it acts as a universal mask. It could be Farlow, it could be Holt, or it could represent the thousands of nameless pioneers who built the American frontier. By keeping the rider's identity a secret, the U.S. Mint ensured that this coin doesn't just honor one man, but invites every viewer to wonder, who is the real hero of the equality state? But as deep as the history goes, the design was only the beginning. The real explosion of controversy happened when the U.S. Mint handed the power over to the people of Wyoming. In a high-stakes democratic experiment, the governor invited the public to submit their visions for what should represent them on the world stage, sparking a massive statewide debate. From hundreds of competing concepts, ranging from the state's iconic landscapes to its wildlife, the bucking horse and rider wasn't just a choice, it was a statement. The tension reached its peak during the final selection process in 2006, where every citizen felt they had a stake in this metallic legacy. This wasn't just a government decision made in a vacuum. It was a hard-fought battle of public opinion that forced the residents to decide exactly how they wanted the rest of the world to see them. And just when everyone thought the debate was over, the final reveal of the coin sparked a whole new wave of questions that we are only beginning to answer today. When this coin finally hit the streets in 2007, it entered an America that was teetering on the edge of a historic catastrophe. The country was standing on the very doorstep of the Great Recession, the most significant economic collapse since the Great Depression of 1929. Behind the scenes, the once invincible housing market was beginning to crumble, subprime mortgages were failing, and the American dream of homeownership was turning into a financial nightmare for millions. It is a chilling irony that while this quarter was being minted to celebrate state pride and heritage, the banks were starting to fold and the stock market was beginning its terrifying descent. Holding this 2007 coin is like holding a time capsule from the exact moment the world's largest economy began to slide into a dark, uncertain era, making it a silent witness to a period where the value of a dollar and the stability of the nation was about to be tested like never before. While the economy was trembling 2007 also marked a monumental clash of eras, the birth of the digital revolution. Just as these physical metal quarters were being pressed at the US Mint, Steve Jobs stood on a stage and introduced the very first iPhone to the world. It was a surreal moment in history where two worlds collided. On one hand, you had the centuries-old tradition of carrying cold, hard physical currency in your pocket, and on the other, the dawn of a digital era that would eventually threaten to make physical money obsolete. This 2007 Wyoming quarter represents the last stand of the purely analog world. It was released at the exact tipping point when humanity began shifting its gaze from the tangible weight of a coin to the glowing touchscreens of a smartphone, making this specific coin a bridge between the dusty trails of the Old West and the high-tech highway of the future. The political landscape surrounding the release of this coin was thick with tension and a deep yearning for national unity. In 2007, President George W. Bush was in the midst of his second term, and the Iraq War had reached a fever pitch, becoming one of the most polarizing conflicts in modern American history. As the country felt increasingly divided and weary from years of overseas combat, there was a profound cultural push to reconnect with a true American identity and the rugged values of the past. The 2007 Wyoming quarter was launched into this exact atmosphere of soul-searching. It wasn't just a piece of currency, but a calculated symbol of strength and independence. By showcasing the untamed spirit of the West and the legacy of the equality state, the coin served as a patriotic anchor, designed to evoke a sense of pride and a shared heritage at a time when the American public was desperately looking for something, anything, to bring them back together. The most profound and politically charged element of this coin is the inscription, "The Equality State," a title that holds a power far beyond its simple appearance. While other states chose to highlight their scenery or landmarks, Wyoming used this quarter to broadcast its status as a global pioneer in human rights. This connection dates back to 1869, when Wyoming became the first place in the entire world to grant women the permanent right to vote and hold office, decades before the rest of the United States followed suit. By placing this motto on the coin in 2007, the Mint wasn't just identifying a geographic location, it was honoring a radical legacy of justice. It serves as a reminder that the rugged, macho imagery of the bucking horse is actually anchored by a foundation of social progress and gender equality. This inscription is the true soul of the coin, transforming a piece of metal into a monument for the brave men and women who redefined democracy on the American frontier. The historical reality behind the Equality State motto is a fascinating mix of radical progress and strategic necessity. In 1869, Wyoming made history by becoming the first territory in the United States, and the first government in the world, to grant women the permanent right to vote and hold public office. But the motivation behind this groundbreaking law wasn't purely idealistic, it was a clever survival tactic for a frontier struggling to grow. At the time, men outnumbered women by a staggering 6-to-1, and the territory's leaders were desperate to attract more female settlers to help build stable families and permanent communities. They believed that by offering women unprecedented political freedom and legal rights, they could convince them to leave the established East and move to the untamed West. This coin, therefore, commemorates a moment when Wyoming literally marketed equality to build its future, proving that the foundation of this state was built on a daring invitation for women to lead where the rest of the world refused to follow. The true weight of this coin lies in its direct connection to the global suffrage movement, acting as a metallic bridge to the millions of women who fought for a seat at the table of democracy. By branding itself as the Equality State on a national currency, Wyoming pays homage to a revolution that began in the rugged West and eventually swept across the globe. This quarter serves as a symbol of hope for activists who realized that if a remote territory could break the chains of tradition, the rest of the world could too. It stands as a tribute to the suffragettes who marched, protested, and sacrificed, proving that the right to vote wasn't just a local victory, but a universal human right. When you hold this coin, you are holding a piece of the front line, a reminder that the fight for equality is an enduring journey that continues to inspire movements for justice and representation today. The origin of this coin can be traced back to the massive industrial hubs of the United States Mint, specifically produced in two legendary locations, Denver, and Philadelphia. If you look closely at the front of your coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, you will spot a small D-Mint mark. This confirms that your specific coin was born in the Mile High City at the Denver Mint, an institution famous for producing billions of coins for the American West. The Denver Mint is known for its high-altitude precision, and in 2007, it struck hundreds of millions of these Wyoming quarters to meet the massive demand of the 50 StateQuarters program. Knowing your coin carries the D mark adds a layer of geographical connection. It traveled all the way from the base of the Rocky Mountains into your hands, carrying with it the industrial heritage of one of the most prolific minting facilities in the world. Now we reach the ultimate climax of the story, the secret that could turn this pocket change into a life-changing fortune. While millions of these quarters were produced, a tiny fraction of them emerged from the mint with mint errors that make them legendary among collectors. You need to look closer than ever before, because some of these 2007 Wyoming quarters feature what is known as a double die error, where the stamping process went wrong, creating a ghostly, doubled image of the inscriptions or the writer itself. Even a microscopic misalignment or a unique die crack can skyrocket the value of a 25-cent coin to hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the collector's market. This is the moment to pause your video, grab a magnifying glass, and scrutinize every millimeter of that D-Mint mark and the writer's silhouette. You might be holding a common coin, or you could be holding a hidden treasure that the rest of the world has completely overlooked. Check your pockets. Your fortune might be hiding in plain sight. Now, let's talk about the real value. What makes a 25-cent coin worth more than its face value? While a common circulated Wyoming quarter is worth exactly 25 cents, certain rare specimens can fetch anywhere from $15 to over $500, and in exceptional mint state conditions or rare error varieties, they have been known to sell for over $1,000 at specialized auctions. The price is driven by three factors: condition, rarity, and error. If your coin has a S-Mint mark, the San Francisco proof version, or a high-grade, uncirculated finish, its value jumps instantly. But the real jackpot is the satin finish, or a documented double die obverse error. These aren't fake numbers. These are real prices paid by numismatists who hunt for the tiny imperfections that make your specific coin a one-in-a-million find. To summarize, this journey has taken us from the hands of a master engraver to the legal battlefields between states, from the birth of the iPhone to the revolutionary fight for women's suffrage. This is not just a piece of metal used for a transaction. It is a living, breathing page of American history. It captures the untamable spirit of a horse named Steamboat and the progressive heart of the equality state. When you look at this quarter, you are seeing the intersection of the Old West and the modern digital world, all contained within a small silver circle. So, before you spend your next quarter, take a second to flip it over. Look closely at the D, or P-Mint mark, and scan the edges for any sign of a doubling error or a unique strike. You might just be holding a rare piece of history that collectors are desperate to find. Don't let a potential treasure slip through your fingers. Check your change, study the details, and remember, sometimes the most valuable stories are hidden right in your pocket. Does your coin have a special mark? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of rare coins. Did you know that behind this single coin lies the culmination of an artist's entire life's work? This isn't just a piece of metal, it's a masterpiece sculpted by the renowned Don Everhart. Imagine the pressure of capturing the soul of an entire state on a tiny canvas less than an inch wide. From the initial sketches to the final engraving, every stroke was a battle for perfection, representing a journey that started in a studio and ended in the pockets of millions. This quarter is the bridge between a creator's vision and a nation's history, making it one of the most personal connections in the world of numismatics. While the hands of Don Everhart gave it shape, the heartbeat of this coin belongs to the people of New Mexico. In 2004, the state governor launched a historic statewide competition, inviting citizens to define their identity on a silver canvas. Out of thousands of passionate entries submitted by artists, students, and historians, one vision stood above the rest. The people chose the Zia sun symbol, not just as a design, but as a testament to their deep-rooted heritage. This wasn't a choice made by a committee in a distant office. It was a collective decision by thousands of New Mexicans who wanted the world to see the land of enchantment through their eyes. But this was far more than a beautiful design. It was a sacred, ancient whisper, a story over 1,000 years in the making. The sun symbol burning at the quarter's heart isn't arbitrary. It is the Zia Pueblo's most revered and sacred emblem. When the Zia people look at this mark, they don't see mere lines. They see the fundamental pillars of their world. Each group of 4 rays holds a universe of meaning: the 4 cardinal directions, the 4 distinct seasons, the 4 parts of a day, and most profoundly, the 4 sacred stages of life: infancy, youth, adulthood, and wisdom. This profound connection instantly elevates this coin from common currency to a piece of living, walking heritage, carrying a spiritual legacy into the future with every transaction. As this historical legacy was being cast in metal, the very nation that issued it was facing its own defining moment. When this coin finally hit the market, the United States was plunging into one of the darkest chapters of its modern history. 2008 was the year of the Great Recession, a time of absolute economic chaos where the American dream seemed to be slipping away. Families watched in horror as home prices plummeted and world-renowned banks collapsed overnight, leaving millions in financial ruin. Yet, in the midst of this crushing hardship, the New Mexico quarter was released to celebrate the state's 100-year journey. It became more than just pocket change. It was a symbol of resilience. In a year defined by loss, this coin arrived as a reminder of heritage, strength, and the hope that even after the darkest storm, the sun, represented by the Zia symbol, would rise again. Creating a beautiful design was only half the battle. The real challenge was securing a green light from the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. No matter how much the people loved the Zia sun symbol, it couldn't become legal tender without the official seal of approval from the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury. This approval was the final key that unlocked its place in the 50 StateQuarters program, widely regarded as the most successful numismatic project in American history. It was a massive undertaking that turned the pockets of every American into a portable history museum, and for New Mexico, this official mandate meant their culture would now be engraved forever in the nation's financial DNA. Once the law was signed, the vision moved from paper to the heavy machinery of the mint. After the approvals were signed, the journey moved from paper to the heavy industry of the United States Mint. Now was the time to give this vision its physical form. If you look closely at your coin, you will see a small, distinct P engraved on it. This is the mark of the legendary Philadelphia Mint. It was here, amidst the thunderous roar of industrial presses, that massive coils of copper and nickel were fused together. With tons of pressure, these machines struck the metal, transforming blank discs into the beautiful New Mexico quarter. Every P-marked coin tells the story of this massive engineering feat, where raw materials and artistic heritage were finally forged into one. But once these coins left the factory and entered circulation, a new mystery began: their value in the hands of collectors today. After leaving the heavy presses of the mint, the journey of this coin reached its final destination: your hands. While hundreds of millions were released into circulation in 2008, the story didn't end there. Today, a massive community of collectors is on a relentless hunt for a very specific type of New Mexico quarter. They aren't just looking for shiny coins, they are searching for errors. Whether it's a double die strike, a missing letter, or a unique minting flaw, these tiny mistakes can turn a common 25-cent piece into a high-value treasure worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. What might look like a simple quarter in your pocket could actually be a rare historical anomaly, waiting for the right eye to discover its true worth. While most New Mexico quarters are worth their face value, the real fortune lies in the rare minting errors that have sent collectors into a frenzy. The most sought after is the satin finish special strike error, which, in flawless condition, can command prices starting from $5,000, but the stakes get much higher with structural anomalies. For instance, a double die obverse or reverse, where the design appears ghosted or doubled, can fetch upwards of $10,000 depending on the severity of the strike. Even more incredible is the off-center strike error, where the coin's design is shifted, leaving a blank crescent, These pieces are valued at $20,000 and above in the elite numismatic market. However, the ultimate holy grail is the wrong planchet error, such as a 2008 New Mexico design struck on a gold or experimental metal blank, or a massive multi-strike indented error where the machinery malfunctioned repeatedly. Such unique, one-of-a-kind museum-grade pieces are estimated by experts to reach a staggering value of $2 million, $2 million, at high-end international auctions. These extraordinary mistakes turn a simple quarter into the most expensive pocket change in history, making every minor flaw a potential multi-million-dollar discovery.